Hi all! I just received my Jane Davenport art supplies. I am in Texas and they came all the way from Australia. I'm super excited to open them up and show you what I got. So I truly haven't opened this yet, so I'm not quite sure what everything is, but we will do this together. Trust the mess. Ink on your hands puts a smile in your heart. I agree with both of these. So we've got some inky tips. Oh, this is kind of cool. Okay. This is like a little teaching card. And when to use what. So both of these kind of offer a little bit of help, a little bit of art tips. That's kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what this is. It looks like wrapping paper. How sweet, with a sticker. Oh my goodness. The packaging is just so lovely. So I've bought a lot of Jane Davenport art supplies before, but I actually haven't ever had anything wrapped like this. It's so pretty. Let's see what it is. Ooh, okay, art time. So this is the thing. This is what I'm so excited about. Actually, not these, but oh, let's just go through one at a time. I'm excited about it all. So this is a little wrist, like a tennis, like I'm just going to play tennis, a sweatband. So this is so that you can wipe your brush on it and just sort of control your water when you're out and about, rather than having a bunch of paper towels stuffed into your art bag. So, and it's cute. I'm just gonna wear it when I go for a run just to look cool. I'm kidding. But I do love it. This is I couldn't quite figure out how big these would be when I ordered it, but this is a portable bowl and it pops out. Maybe we take the lid off first, that would be easier. So the lid's attached. I kind of think that's kind of cool. So in the description it said that could be used as a palette, but it's attached mostly so it doesn't get lost. And then you've got your little pop-up cup, and I know you've probably seen these, like we use one when we walk and run with our dog, but they're much larger. And because this one has a lid, I'm willing to bet that it'll stay flat and closed like this, whereas our dog's drinking cup does not. So whether or not I'm going to be able to keep this as a painting cup or turn it into a cup for my dog when I bring her with me, a drinking cup, I haven't decided yet, but I won't do both, obviously, because we don't want to make the dog drink out of painty water. But it looks like it is food safe. So how cool is that? Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll just buy another one. I love that. Portable tiny cup. And then this is what I was expecting to open first. This is art time. And it looks like these are, yep, swatches of different colors. This is a sticker. Eee. These are the little paints. Look at that. Oh my goodness. They don't come inside the palette. They come just stuck in like that. And here's another sticker. So we're going to be able to label everything. This is the palette. Look how tiny this is. What? So it comes with backup paint. It comes with spare paint. I did not expect that. Whew, that's exciting. Because these little trays are very tiny. You'll run out pretty quick. Maybe that's why they gave us backup. I was just expecting to use it and refill it with whatever colors I had in tubes. Anyway, there's sponges here to help with water control, but it's not a ton, so that's why I got this. There's a strap, tiny mixing palette, the cutest tiny mixing palette. Look at that. It closes up, but it also has a watch band, so I'm literally going to wear this on my wrist, and it comes with the tiniest little water brush. But that's quite a large size brush for a water brush, so I'm excited. Oh man, this is gonna be fun to use. So that's what it comes with. That's a ton. I wasn't expecting all the different extra colors. This is where I'm going to swatch it soon. I might record me doing that just for kicks. And these are for something. Who knows what? Labeling things. Look at that. What a nice box. I am not getting rid of the box. I'm not. What else did I get? I got it looks like it's a bit spilled a bit in here, which is really unfortunate, but it hasn't leaked into anything else, so that's nice. But I got the brush cleaner and the little silicone brush buff because I do care about my brushes a lot and they are hard to clean. So this is, I was really, really excited. So it's kind of, the soap is everywhere, but I was excited for this because usually I just do that on my hand, but this will help me absorb just a little less paint. And while this did spill, I mean, what can you expect? It literally came all the way from Australia. And it looks like it's still full to just below this label. So I haven't lost too much. It's very soapy feeling. I'm going to have to wash my hands now before I continue to open stuff. 1 second. Ah. I need a paper towel. All right. So, hands are soapy. Yeah, I can tell from just that packaging right there that it didn't spill too much. Excited to use that though. Okay, so this is the last thing, also wrapped with a lovely paper and a lovely sticker. The brushes. So I've got 3 different brushes. I'm planning on using these for acrylic. They're called texture brushes, and this is why I got them. It's so silly and simple, but rather than go dig for another whole painting implement to get these textures and scrape, and it's just attached to the brush, which is kind of genius. So I'm hoping that will make my workflow really smooth, just being able to paint and scrape all at once. So I'm planning on using this with acrylic. And then I got the watercolor aqua pastels, the watercolor crayons. I'm so excited about these. I've wanted them for a long time. It's coming in a cute little package, a nice tin that I will always store them in. Let's see if I can just dive in right now and open it. So I have watercolor pastels already, but they're kind of like short and thick crayons, and they're not these little elegant. This is just a lot more compact, a lot easier to work with. My other ones are short and stumpy. I imagine I'll be able to get just a lot more detail with these smaller ones. And the other ones didn't have any sort of nice, easy to travel with packaging. And that's important to me. I want to take these with me when I fly somewhere. So the packaging that I know will keep them from getting all smashed and broken up is actually really important. Aren't those beautiful? So the next part of this will be me testing out all these new supplies. I'm going to start with just drawing all the supplies that I plan on taking with me. This is a brand new moleskin watercolor journal. I have never used this format before. Usually I use much smaller moleskins. My most common size is this little pocket one, 3.5 by 5 inches, and I take it everywhere because it's so small and it goes in my little hip pack slash fanny pack, if you want to call it that. And so I've already got this ready with stickers. That's kind of how I label my different sketchbooks. This one will end up being like the travel trio or like van tiny something. whereas this one I would call 806. And this is their 5x8-ish. And love, love, love this size. I work on it at home, but I also take it with me. It's not too big to travel with. So this is also my most common size, probably second most common size. This is the only larger moleskin I've ever worked on. They come in even larger than this, but this one is fairly old. I'll be doing a sketchbook tour on it when it's eventually complete, but I plan on covering both sides of the pages, not just one side. And right now only half of the sketchbook is two-sided and the other half some, but there's a lot of blank pages and I don't do that anymore. I'm going to go through and I'm going to use every single page and then I'll do a sketchbook tour of this. But notice how it opens like a landscape format. This one is portrait, so super excited to try out a new format when I travel this summer. So notice that this is just so well bound that is not going to hurt it to open it flat like that. This is normally the scenario, the situation that's happening. But now I have this. So what I'll do is I'll just stick that on. Since I'm right-handed, it really doesn't make sense to wear this on my right hand because that's the one that'll be holding the brush. So I'll just move it over to my left arm. It's got that cute little eye on it to be all like creepy. But that's basically what I'll do when I'm out and about. This and this. I'm going to sketch with these two. This is my Lamy Safari, and in it has gray waterproof ink, and this one has black waterproof ink in it. And these are super important because they're waterproof, so I can paint over them. So the black is D'Artementis. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Document ink black. And that is in this pen. This one is Noodler's ink, and it is Lexington gray, also waterproof, but it is much paler, so it's just way more subtle shading. Very nice. So I'm going to start with this one. Am I? Or am I going to be bold? No, I'm not going to be bold. I'm going to be nervous and timid today. Why not? So let's start with the watercolor kit that goes with me everywhere. It's not going to change. It's going to stay the same for this summer. It's my tried and true at this point. So I'm going to start by, I've drawn this so many times and yet I still struggle. This is Stillman and Burn. It's a soft cover, so it's a bit messed up, but I really enjoyed doing my supplies in this one. Same Lamy Safari. This is before I had the TWSBI Eco. There we go, supplies. Supplies. So at this point I was using a balsamic Capers glass jar for my water before I got the Nalgene, which was silly. It's heavy and it's not watertight as well as the Nalgene, so that was silly. And I believe I did my palettes in the back. And let's see which one's mine. This one. I'm comparing it to Liz Steele's here, so bear with me. All right, I'm gonna use that to help me because I've drawn it several times and failed at it several times. So hopefully this looks cute. I'm really nervous. Do you get like this with a new, oh my gosh, with a new sketchbook and you get all timid? I don't know why I'm so timid right now, but I feel like I need to use a pencil. So there's a creative tip for you when you freak out like I'm freaking out right now. You don't need to see me sketch out squares in pencil and then go over them in ink. All you need to know is I'm using my waterproof ink so that it will not mess with my swatches when it's time to paint over them. So just finishing up this little drawing and I'm plopping in the colors. The one on the top left I had used a green pen with, so that's why it's bleeding a little, it's not looking great. So the colors so far are Daniel Smith Buff Titanium, Winsor Newton Naples Yellow. This is Winsor and Newton's Potter's Pink, Winsor and Newton Raw Sienna. This one is the Decadent Pies Red Oxide. And then this one is Daniel Smith Van Dyke Brown. Going into the middle, this is one of my favorite colors. Oof, ooh la la, it is Azo Green, and I believe it's Grumbacher is the brand. It's super strong, so pigmented. Then we're gonna go to Sap Green. This isn't a high quality green, but we have a couple really nice greens in this palette. So I don't care that one of them is pretty cheap in terms of quality. I think it's probably student quality. Because there are some really strong greens, like really great greens in here to mix with. The next one is a Sennelier Phthalo Green. It is, again, super strong. So we've got a really strong green there and a really strong green here. And by strong, I mean they are highly pigmented. They're nice, expensive artist quality color. The next one, same thing, highly pigmented, very high quality artist color. It's Daniel Smith Perylene Green, and it is phenomenal. Look at this, look how dark it is. This is my favorite, like pine or spruce tree color. So because I have those other colors and I can mix, I'm not worried at all about having one sort of lesser quality pigmented green in there. The last one on there is Shadow Violet. I love this one for all shadows, but notice the whole center column is basically green. It's because I'm a landscape painter primarily. I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole myself, but I do a lot of landscape painting, and so I need my greens. Okay, we've got a lemon yellow here that's on its last legs. We need to refill that. And then we've got a cadmium yellow. I'm pretty sure I just used yellows that I had already. I didn't choose these specifically for my palette. These were just paints I already had in tube form, so I filled my wells. I made this whole palette myself. The next one is Transparent Pyrrole Orange, and it is so pigmented, so strong. You need only a tiny little bit. It's kind of a crazy thing to keep in a palette because like you really don't go through it at all. Barely use it. This is Quinacridone Rose, Daniel Smith, and then I don't know what the yellows were. Like I said, I just had them already. Probably student grade. This one's Daniel Smith Cobalt Blue. Such a great high quality color, perfect for all sky water situations. We've got Ultramarine Blue. It is a Schminke brand. It looks very gray there. I wonder if maybe, let me just try to clean up the top here. I wonder if maybe there's some other colors in there kind of poisoning it because, or contaminating it, because it normally is less navy, and there we go, kind of closer to royal. And the last one is Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal Blue, and it really helps with making lighter skies, and when this one is not cutting it, when the Cobalt Blue is not cutting it. So there's my whole palette. In a little while I'll go in and I'll add shadows on one side to make it look indented and really cool. For now we'll just grab that Shadow Violet. My palette's really quite messy because I like mixing a bunch of things, and I'm going to put a shadow on this side to make it kind of look like it's sitting there, even though I do have, I know, sides. I'm not going to do that right now. It's more, I'm doing more of a swatch situation right now. So the next thing I want to do is, maybe it's my brand new Art Time from Jane Davenport. We've got this card. I don't think I want to like glue it in here or anything crazy, but this is the little palette. These are the replacement colors. This is the water pen. I don't need it just now. Basically, the goal right now is swatcheroonie. So I'm going to swatch here and record later what the different colors are. So I'm going to sketch the whole palette here, and I'm going to label it with all of the colors. Jane Davenport's very creative in her color names, and these colors are based on Jane-isms, so words and terms that she's made up that are really cute. So I'm using, I did pencil first because, as we have already established, I am timid today. And then I went over it with my permanent black ink. You have to let this ink dry or it is not waterproof. So give it a little bit of time. You see me flapping my hand there. And then I'm going to label the colors. So her colors are Kindness Matters, Fainting Couch, Davin Peep, that's the dark red. Then the second row down is Trust the Mess. These are the purples, Start the Art, and Discombobulate. The next row down is Flowing, Keep It Loose, and Artemologist. And the last row is Undulate, Be the Hair, and Gather, Sunshine, the bright yellow. There's the little card it came with. And she's swatched them on the back, but this is a watercolor card and I can swatch them on there too, which is super fun. Okay, let's begin with Kindness Matters. You can see me tapping my brush off to the side. I'm just trying to control the water. There's a lot of water on my brush. I wanted to make sure I could activate the paint. These are all very pastel colors, which might be hard to do like landscapes with, maybe. This is called Fainting Couch. But the other set was like really, I don't know, much more typical colors. And I thought this would be more adventurous. This color is Davenport. Whoa, my gosh. I'm not regretting these colors. These are going to be a bit more lively maybe than your basic, you know, regular colors you're used to, your red, your yellow, your blue. I think it was called like the Masters or something, and it went through the ages. I shouldn't be talking right now if I don't know what I'm talking about, but it is an equally cool set and I might get it in the future. This is Trust the Mess, which is a hard thing to do, but I find it really cool that that's one of her mottos or her Jane-isms. Down here you can see I'm kind of doing a gradient, but I'm not working too hard at it. But I have enough space. These are big swatches, so why not, right? Start the Art. This one feels, I don't know, neat. It's kind of more opaque. Discombobulate. Brace yourself for this beautiful periwinkle. Wow. Yep. Gorgeous. This one is called Flowing because obviously it's water inspired. Wow, but tropical waters, right? Like really tropical. This is the color, these are the colors you want to take on your honeymoon. The one below is called Undulate. Undulate. Keep it loose. I'm trying to think if I have Jane Davenport watercolor. Do I? Yes, I do. I must. Or do I just have Prima Marketing? I think I just have Prima Marketing. I never got Jane Davenport watercolor before. I really wanted, there's one like mermaid themed. Artemologist. I know I'm going willy-nilly through these colors. I'm not sticking to left to right. This one is called Be the Hair. Interesting. I don't know why I cleaned my brush just there. Gather, Sunshine. I'm so glad there's a yellow in here. It's like banana yellow. How cool is that? So I'm a little worried that I won't have color to get value with, but that I could simply bring along a marker, like a gray marker or like a darker Tombow marker. When I say Tombow, I mean this because these are water soluble, and so if I need darker value in my sketch, this isn't necessarily going to get it for me. Maybe flowing, this one right here is the darkest value. If you squint, sometimes that helps you see value. This also looks like it might be dark, but we're not getting really into the darkest values, and the best art has the full value range usually, or really successful sketches. So that's something I'm gonna have to think about. But these are great for just adding color to a sketch that already exists with value, maybe. Maybe I do cross-hatching with this first. I'm gonna set this over here. I'm super excited about that. That swatching was fun. Let me pull out this new set and give it a little sketch right here, because I'm also planning on bringing these. Now I'm going to skip forward through the sketching of 12 little crayon-y shapes. I'm doing them in pencil first. No, they are not straight, they are sloping to the side. This gives it character. A lot of times when people say, they're trying to say they can't draw, they say, oh, I can't draw a straight line. And drawing is not about drawing straight lines. Anyway, notice I just moved the whole book sideways to be able to access it better. Good drawing is drawing with character. Okay guys, look at this. Now we've got labels on them, so I'm going to do kind of a slightly curved, remembering these are all basically cylinders. And I'm going to put the labels on them like that. And then the labels at the bottom pretty much go right to the bottom, but it helps it make it look more 3D if we just do this. Even though these labels seem to be going right to the very bottom. Then I'm going to encompass them in a little case, right? Am I? Yeah. Why not? There we go. And this way I can add a shadow around the case, just like I did with that one, and kind of get some uniformity. All right, so this one is called Monet. And I'm adding a little bit of this color in here, and I'm going to see what it's like when I activate it. Wow, that's gorgeous. Okay, what happens if I just put the pastel / crayon on the bottom only? Oops. How much can I spread that color? Ooh, the yellow's bleeding, but that's okay. That spreads pretty well, doesn't it? This is me putting the pastel over something that's already wet. So I'm kind of experimenting with a couple different things here. If you're really upset about things like that bleeding, just lift it immediately with a paper towel. Some things in watercolor are correctable. So I'm adding a bit more pigment there. The moleskin paper isn't, foolproof. It will get overtaxed and start tearing if you go crazy with it. This color was Laurentian, and this one is Gauguin. My apologies for pronouncing anything wrong. I know I'm saying Gauguin right, but Laurentian? I don't know about that one, sorry. So I like the little swatch here better when I pull, like when I draw all the way up the side, as opposed to putting it just at the bottom and trying to drag it up. That's a little more successful. The next color we have is Cezanne. So I'm going to take it all the way down the left side, a bit more at the bottom and top, see what happens when we activate. So I'm sure I can get even more, wow, pigmented than this. It's kind of turning, rather pink because it's almost like I'm doing a gradient. I kind of like it though. Frida. Let's see what you got, Frida. There's a lot of reds in here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 in a row. Dali. Ooh, how is this going to differ from Gauguin, I wonder? How's it going to differ from this one? Will it be different enough? Yep, it will. So this is like a, it's like a crimson, 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 crimson. It's more crimson. This one is Ingres, or yeah, Ingres. It's spelled Ingres, but it's definitely not pronounced that way because it's French. Some people say Ankh, but it's not quite that sound. I mean, it depends where you're, if you're Quebecois or Parisian French, but Ingres is the best I can do right now. Making that I sound in French. Actually was raised kind of speaking French, not in the house, but I went to a French immersion school, so up till a certain grade, some of my classes were taught in French because I'm from Canada, if you didn't know. This color is Michelangelo. Woo, look at that. Getting a bit sloppy here. And I put a lot of pigment down on that one. I don't know why. I just felt like the other ones weren't quite pigmented enough, and we're kind of wrecking the paper by going over it again. Ooh, I know what I can do. I'm adding a shadow here. That's what I'm gonna do. Look at this. I'm gonna go back over and just sort of add a shadow on one side. Oh, that's gonna look so cool. Even though the shadow's kind of already started on the other side. We gotta stay the same, and the shadow is on the right side of everything so far, so we're gonna just keep doing that. So interestingly enough, these you can draw dry onto dry paper with them and activate them. You can draw over wet stuff, and you can also go back in. Let me tell you the color. The color is Van Gogh. I am saying that one right, people. I took a cycling tour around the Netherlands, and my guide made sure we knew how to say Van Gogh, because she's Dutch. This one is Botticelli. I'm glad there are two different blues in here. That's nice. For someone who loves other landscapes. These colors will be fantastic for flowers, though. If you love florals, this is a good set for you. Any of Jane Davenport's sets are pretty good for you if you love florals, just because she has that sort of a real attachment and obsession with real bright colors. What do we have here? Da Vinci. Ooh, I think I'm gonna love this green. Wow, it's like teal. I didn't have to mix it with anything. What a beautiful blue-green. I wasn't expecting it to be blue-green. I thought it would be more of like forest green, but that is fantastic. If we want it more forest green, we just add the opposite on the color wheel and it will calm it down. We'll add a red to it. It might go brown, but if we're careful with how much red we add, then it'll turn into a more of a forest green. This one's Toulouse-Lautrec. I saw someone at a local brewery recently wearing a Toulouse-Lautrec shirt, so one of the famous posters. How do we like that? I mean, it just looks like a rainbow right now, but I'm going to add some more shadow to everything. I'm going to add it down here. down the side. And I'm going to add it up here. Great. And now if I want, I can be lazy. I don't have to remix darker colors of all of these. I could be lazy and use my shadow violet and just go in and add shadow to, I gotta go really lightly here. That was probably too dark. But we want like a transparent shadow to all of these wells, which will help them pop and just help the page look really, really neat. That one's a bit wet still, so maybe I shouldn't have done that yet. Okay, Josie, hopping over to the other ones that are actually dry. Good enough for me. I'm not sure. Let's see. These are not perfectly dry, but that's okay. I'm feeling like doing everything all at once, so don't want to come back and do this later. Good enough for me. See how that just like makes them sing a little bit more? I want to do something with this, and I'm not sure if I want to color the colors darker on one side or gray in the space behind them. I think since I was so sloppy with the space between them, I think I have to just add shadow to each crayon, which is going to be, you know, a little challenging. So those are super awkward, but they're not horrible. Let's look on the bright side. They're not horrible. Look at this beautiful little tin. Oh. So on this side, I think I'm going to do all of my favorite brushes. These are my favorite travel brushes, the Princeton Neptune. And I'll do my pens on that side too. So the color kind of went over here. And then utensils will go over here. And I'm even going to include this. It might kind of go well over here. We'll just see compositionally what's going on when we get to that point. But right now, the goal is drawing good stuff. All right. So now is when I get to draw all the cool things. Even this. I've done it before. Here it is. All of the utensils that I had on my last trip. I'm gonna leave them over there for guidance. Oh, I'm so nervous. I feel like I want to do this in pencil first, but I've just got to let go of that. That's just not acceptable. I need to. So I had the same sort of stage fright with this and, you know, didn't want to just draw it in pen, and then reminded myself it's what makes it quirky and cool and interesting. I ran into the trouble of having to sketch the pen that I was holding. So I used the cap, held it off to the side, and I used a previous drawing to help guide that. And something I've also done in the past is like the little swatch goes off to the right. So we could write with it that it is the TWIS Be Eco. So I'm using the thing itself to write what it is, which means for this one I would say Lamy Safari. What else? This little Le Pen goes everywhere with me, and it is something that I use in my tiny notebooks. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring it along this time. Trying to decide on that one. I always have a pencil though, so we got to put that in there. What ink it was? It was Diamine Marine. So I'm gonna leave a note here. So I put eventually. So Diamine Marine, end of. So I know that this is going to change into a different color of ink. Here are my fabulous brushes. So for these, I just went smallest to largest. And when I got to the largest one, I did make a mistake and made the ferrule too thin, but I just kind of fudged it to make it work. I am thinking of bringing my watercolor colored pencils. Actually, I know I will. And they all look like this. And so I've put a couple there. I chose a couple of special ones and I don't really know what colors I'm going to go with, but let's pick a green. I really truly think I'm going to bring them all, but just for the sake of this drawing, let's be random. Should we do pink? We're going to be a bit random and we're going to do just a couple, even though we're going to bring probably the whole set. Random colors. I have water soluble graphite. Oh my goodness. Do I want to bring these too? Well, we're working with water media, so these are absolutely water media. I've got a light wash and a medium wash and maybe somewhere dark, but the medium is pretty extensive. It's pretty great. There it is, water soluble graphite dark. So we're gonna draw them. Why not? Bring them all. So this is me drawing the 3 graphite, the water-soluble graphite pencils that I have. Whether or not I end up bringing them is another story. I'll just make a note if I don't. So the marker I was looking for, markers, are basically brush markers like this, but I have several different grays and I keep them together, and they're missing right now, but I keep them together. This would work, the small liner, so that I can do value studies like somewhere in here, something like this, where I don't have to pull out the watercolors and I just block in the value, and I could always add color later. These are the finishing line pens. Here are the little swatches I did with them. I really love to add ink to my art. So we've got a lot without ink, just this has ink in it. See, it has the Noodler's, or the gray, Lexington gray again. So it's a gray sketch, it's very soft and light. And then that's this ink, Noodler's Lexington gray, with this pen. And I hiked up Enchanted Rock with my little kit and my pen, and I just did the sketches. I didn't do the watercolor until later, and it's waterproof, so the sketch remains unharmed as I drop watercolor all over it. And then you can see with the black line, it's a lot more harsh. Gray line, I feel a little more comfortable drawing with it. Black line, it's just more commitment. This isn't gray line, this is pencil and a bit of black pen, but look at this pen, the quality of it. It's definitely not my fountain pen. There's very little ink coming out. It is much more likely to be a fine liner of some kind, probably a micron, but these work just like microns, the Jane Davenport ones. And same thing in here. That detail is way too fine for the nib that I have right now. Then we have some without any pen. This is a really interesting sketchbook because here all of the line is done with the periwinkle. It's not actually, it's color. Yeah, it is periwinkle lip pen. So it just shows you the different kind of techniques. This is done with a fine liner of some kind. Then we have another fine liner drawing, pencil and no pen or pencil. This is just pencil and watercolor. So they create totally different effects. That's a ballpoint pen, like just a Bic, regular old pen with a tiny bit of watercolor over top. It doesn't look too bad. And you can see with this bold sort of uncontrolled ink, that would be the fountain pen. So it just depends what you're going for. I'm going to draw a couple of these fine liners in because I'm willing to bet I take them with me. So I'm quickly going to just draw one of the Jane Davenport finishing line pens and then dive into painting them, starting with the Lamy Safari. Not much else I can do there other than add the shadow behind it. For the next little bit, I actually have to clean a piece of my palette so that I can mix that bright coral color. Otherwise, it gets contaminated with what's already on there. I'd recommend waiting for sections to dry before you do what I'm doing. I'm just slapping it on. I don't really care. It's okay. But if you're concerned with one color bleeding into the next, which is what mine is doing, then just be patient, more patient than me. And bringing the color up to look at it. If you're more patient than me, then you'll be able to not have colors bleed into each other. I will do the barrel later. Tip of the pencil is kind of brown. And the eraser is white, so we're going to leave it with just a hint of shadow. There's cat hair on this, kind of wrecking my drawing. There we go. Oh my goodness. There's tons of little like squiggly cat hair mess right there. Oh well. Now I have to get this weird rose gold color. What are you thinking here? I'm thinking more orange, but it's not orange. I did a good job of mixing this before, and I'm kind of wondering if I need to. That's kind of nice. Mostly Potter's Pink with a hint of yellow in it, and I think that we're golden. So this part is rose gold on all of them. This will be quick. What else is rose gold? The whole bottom, but not the wood part. Okay. This. I was holding my brush on the side and it didn't, just went right out of the lines. Crazy. Whatever. There's so much cat hair on my page right now. This is a constant fight in my house. Wow, that's more yellow than I wanted. There we go. So I did this really light, and when it dries, I'll go in and add shadow. And I didn't keep any light highlight on the barrels and such, which I should because it's really shiny. But we'll be fine. It's okay. Moving on, mixing that weird, beautiful red-brown part of the handle. This is the part that doesn't have glints, so we'll do that. Then we have plain wood-barreled watercolor pencils. I feel like a kid just coloring right now. Like I need a show on or something, like my attention span. So sad. Must be doing 7 things at once. So I'm going to go in later once it's dry and add the tiny little bits of color. And I would love to show that the top of these isn't the same color as the barrel, but I don't think it's really important. It's just the inside of the wood. And these are my dark ones with the blue. So they're mostly black. To get black, I never own black. It's kind of a flat color, but I'm just gonna mix this dark brown with my gray, and I can mix my darkest blue in there if I need to. And it has a sticker on it, so I'm gonna ignore that part. And I'm gonna just paint the whole thing in, including the bottom. And a bit more of a mix, brown and blue. Ultramarine blue is a very dark, has a very dark value, so it's great to mix that with other dark hues so that you can get close to black without ever having to need black. And the other one was gray. So the top was just like a pencil on all these, right? Yep. But then the barrel of this one, I don't know if I'm saying the right word. I don't know if there's a different word for it other than barrel, and I'm just mumbling along to myself, and I apologize. This one was gray. Okay. Moving right along. The last one had the real bold, whoops, top and side, right? There we go. And the bottom. And then the rest was black. I'm totally okay with the blacks all being different a little bit. These from those, because it just differentiates, like they're different products. So that works just fine. I'm going to add shadow to everything. I just added the brush color and did some swatching of what those can do. I'm going to do really dark in where the ink is here. Mostly at the top and a little bit later down below. I am not going to do the shadow of that right now because it will bleed, because I just did the barrel there. So how many times can you say barrel in your video? Same with the brush. The brush is still wet there. I am adding shadow to the ground, but what needs to happen also is shadow on the actual, ready, barrel of each brush or pen. There needs to be shadow on the actual cylinder itself. For some of these, the shadow isn't actually going to touch at the end, and that just makes it look even more 3D. Just like over here, how the shadow doesn't go right up against the triangle at the end. Words are hard. Then I'm just going to continue adding shadow to the rest of these drawing implements and make sure to include a little swatchy swatch of what Jane Davenport pen actually does. It's more interesting than some of the other ones, that's why I chose it. All right, letting that dry, and then we'll add more shadow to the actual pieces themselves. This is what it looks like right now. You can see all of it. I'm going to draw my indispensable water container. I've also decided to label these. So this one I'll label like my own personal kit. This one is called Art Time Watercolor. Ooh, I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna add the pink one too. This is from my mom, so it's special. I used to have a Harry Potter Marauders map bandana that I lost, but this one arrived in the mail so that it could replace my other bandana. And all that does is limit, you know, the crazy amount of paper towel you go through. So I'm not gonna make you watch me label everything, but I labeled all of the different colors of paint. That'll be helpful for me going forward whenever I want to refill a little well. And if I ever, you know, because I teach, sometimes students ask me what colors I'm using. And so this is a great record for when I go back through and look at my sketchbooks, I can actually tell you what I used. I also took a moment to write labels on the actual drawing implements here on the left. Sorry that this part is a little off screen, but I'm just sketching the things I'm going to use instead of paper towel. And I am also thinking about the lengths that Jane Davenport goes to make her products unique and special and beautiful, like the embroidered eye on this little sweatband. It's pretty crazy. Next, I'm drawing my little Nalgene water container. It is phenomenal. It's never leaked on me. I'm incorporating some perspective here. Let's get some paint on it. I just go ahead and I use some of the brand new pink that I just got, and I add a little bit of shading in here as well. Then I'm using the blue right from the set, the Jane Davenport set, and dropping in a bit of shadow here and there. For this Nalgene container, it's mostly tinted green because green's a very strong color, and my water container is almost always green. And for those curious, it's 125 milliliters or 4 ounces, which I find is the best amount of water to bring with me. Next, I'm just looking at the overall appeal, and I'm adding some teal color around all the titles, which I feel really kind of brings it together. And with that, we are ready to go on our new adventure and to fill up this brand new Moleskine watercolor journal. Thanks for joining me.